What really happened to White House on the Hill? And why are so many longtime viewers starting to ask questions? At first glance, it looks like the perfect escape. A quiet farm, wide open land, adorable animals, and a family chasing a simpler life. Millions tuned in to watch Jake and Becky trade the noise of the city for muddy boots and early mornings, turning their homestead into one of YouTube's most watched farm channels. Every hatch, every rescue, every unexpected moment pulled viewers deeper into their world. But behind the heartwarming scenes and viral animal videos, some fans have noticed changes. The channel grew fast, and with growth came pressure, scrutiny, and whispers in the community. Was everything really as wholesome as it seemed? Or did success quietly reshape the story? Because the truth is, building a life online isn't always as peaceful as it looks, and what unfolded next is something most viewers never saw coming. Long before millions of views started pouring in, White House on the Hill was just a dream that felt slightly out of reach. Jake and Becky weren't always surrounded by open fields and the sounds of animals waking with the sun. Like many families, they were living a more traditional life. Steady routines, familiar surroundings, and a growing feeling that something was missing. The idea of leaving it all behind didn't happen overnight. It started as a quiet thought, the kind that shows up during stressful days and refuses to disappear. They wanted space, freedom, a chance to build something their kids could grow up inside, not just visit on weekends. So when the opportunity finally came, they made a decision that most people only talk about. They walked away from comfort and stepped straight into uncertainty. Moving to the countryside wasn't the peaceful fairy tale many viewers might imagine. There were no perfectly planned mornings or cinematic sunsets waiting for them. Instead, they faced long days, unexpected problems, and a steep learning curve that tested their patience almost immediately. Equipment broke, plans failed, weather didn't cooperate, and animals, as they quickly learned, rarely follow a script. But something interesting happened during the chaos. They picked up a camera. At first, the filming wasn't about building a massive channel. It was about documenting the journey. The mistakes, the small wins, the moments their family would want to remember years later. There was no big strategy, no viral blueprint, no guarantee anyone would even care. Yet viewers did care, and faster than anyone expected. People weren't just watching a farm come together. They were watching a family figure things out in real time. The rawness made it feel real, almost like you were right there with them, boots in the dirt. Still, what started as simple documentation was quietly turning into something much bigger. Because once the internet discovers you, everything changes. And the moment their videos began attracting serious attention, the peaceful homestead story took a turn that no one, including them, could have fully prepared for. It didn't happen with a huge announcement or a perfectly timed launch. One day, their videos were reaching a modest audience. In the next, the numbers started climbing faster than anyone could explain. Views turned into hundreds of thousands, then millions. Subscribers arrived in waves. Almost overnight, White House on the Hill was no longer just a family documenting farm life. It was becoming a destination viewers couldn't stop returning to. So what made people click? Part of it was the unpredictability. On this farm, no 2 days looked the same. One morning might bring the excitement of rare eggs beginning to hatch. The next could spiral into a race against time to help a struggling animal. Viewers quickly realized that when they press play, anything could happen, and that kind of tension is hard to look away from. But there was something deeper pulling people in. The camera didn't feel staged. The reactions weren't polished. When something went wrong, you saw it. When a moment turned emotional, it wasn't edited out. That authenticity created trust, and trust turned casual viewers into loyal followers. Soon, certain videos began exploding across the platform. Dramatic hatchings had audiences holding their breath. Unexpected animal behavior sparked comment sections filled with theories and reactions. Even everyday chores somehow became fascinating because viewers felt invested in the outcome. And then came the algorithm. Once YouTube recognized that people weren't just clicking, they were staying, the channel started getting pushed to wider audiences. Strangers who had never considered watching farm content suddenly found themselves binge-watching episode after episode late into the night. But rapid growth has a way of changing the atmosphere. What was once a private family adventure was now unfolding in front of millions of eyes. Every decision could be questioned. every moment could be replayed. And with that level of attention comes a pressure most creators never see coming. Because when expectations rise, so does scrutiny. And as the channel continued to grow, some viewers began noticing small shifts. Subtle at first, but hard to ignore once you saw them. The real question was, were these just natural growing pains, or the beginning of something much bigger? Success is exciting, until it starts demanding more from you. As White House on the Hill surged past milestone after milestone, the channel was no longer just a family memory book. It had quietly become a full-scale operation. Upload schedules mattered. Viewer expectations grew. And whether they planned it or not, the farm was transforming into both a home and a business. At first, the expansion felt like a natural next step. More animals arrived. Bigger projects took shape. Incubators filled with eggs promised new life almost weekly. Each video seemed to raise the stakes, giving viewers something fresh to anticipate. But with higher stakes comes a hidden weight many audiences never see. Farm life is already unpredictable. Now, imagine balancing that with cameras rolling, deadlines approaching, and millions waiting for the next update. Suddenly, moments that would normally stay private were being shared with the world, and viewers began noticing the intensity. Some fans loved the faster pace. The constant action made the channel almost impossible to click away from. But others started wondering if the pressure to deliver bigger, more dramatic content was changing the rhythm of the homestead itself. Because when your everyday life becomes entertainment, the line between living and performing can blur. Still, the family pushed forward, tackling ambitious builds and introducing animals most small farms wouldn't even consider raising. To supporters, it looked like determination, proof that they were fully committed to the life they had chosen. Yet behind every growing channel is a reality few talk about. The more success you find, the harder it becomes to slow down. You can't easily step away when millions are watching. You can't pause when the algorithm rewards consistency, and you definitely can't predict how the internet will react next. Then something shifted. The comment sections, once filled almost entirely with encouragement, began mixing praise with concern, not overwhelming, not dramatic, but noticeable enough that longtime viewers started paying closer attention. Because sometimes, the earliest signs of change don't arrive loudly. They creep in quietly. One comment, one question, one uneasy observation at a time. And what people started discussing next would spark conversations the channel had never faced before. For a long time, the comment section under White House on the Hill videos felt like a supportive community. Viewers shared advice, celebrated successful hatchings, and rooted for the family through every challenge. It had the energy of a digital neighborhood, familiar names showing up week after week. But as the channel grew larger, the tone slowly began to shift. It wasn't an overnight backlash. There was no single video that flipped everything upside down. Instead, questions started appearing more frequently beneath uploads. At first, they were easy to miss, tucked between thousands of positive messages. Some viewers wondered if the rapid increase in animals was becoming difficult to manage. Others questioned whether certain moments should have stayed off camera rather than becoming content. A few longtime followers even pointed out that the farm seemed very different from the quieter homestead they had originally subscribed to watch. None of this meant the majority had turned against the channel. Far from it. Loyal fans continued defending the family, often reminding critics that real farm life isn't always gentle or predictable. Animals get sick. Plans fall apart. Tough decisions have to be made quickly. But the conversation had undeniably changed. Because once a channel reaches millions, it stops feeling small and personal. People begin holding it to higher standards, whether that's fair or not. And the internet rarely agrees on where those standards should be. What made the situation more intense was how fast discussions could spread. A single concerned comment could trigger long reply threads filled with debate. Supporters argued that the family was simply showing reality. Critics pushed back, saying visibility brings responsibility. Suddenly, the channel wasn't just about farm updates anymore. It was part of a larger conversation about what audiences expect from creators who share their daily lives online. Yet, through it all, the videos kept coming. The routines continued. The animals still needed care regardless of what was happening in the comment section. But there was an unspoken tension now, the kind that appears when creators realize they're no longer just sharing memories. They're being watched, analyzed, and discussed in ways they never imagined. And what happens when that spotlight gets brighter? For many channels, that's the moment everything either stabilizes or changes forever. By this point, White House on the Hill wasn't simply popular, it was influential. Videos regularly pulled massive views, and the channel had cemented itself as one of the internet's most recognizable homestead stories. But with that level of visibility comes something creators rarely anticipate when they first hit upload. Attention doesn't just bring support, it brings expectation. Viewers who once clicked out of curiosity were now emotionally invested. They had favorite animals, followed ongoing farm projects, and celebrated milestones almost like extended family. That loyalty is powerful, but it also raises the pressure to keep delivering moments worth watching. And here's the reality few talk about. Calm, ordinary days don't usually go viral. So naturally, the content began leaning into bigger events, larger builds, higher risk hatchings, more unpredictable animal moments. Not because they were chasing drama, but because growth often pushes creators toward whatever keeps audiences engaged. Still, some longtime viewers noticed the difference. The farm felt busier than before. The scale seemed larger. The stakes appeared higher in nearly every upload. Supporters saw ambition to proof that the family was evolving and reinvesting into the life they had worked so hard to build. But others quietly wondered something else. Was the channel shaping the farm instead of the farm shaping the channel? It's a subtle distinction, yet an important one. When your livelihood is tied to sharing your life, stepping back becomes complicated. Slowing down can mean disappearing from recommendations. Taking fewer risks can mean fewer clicks, and the algorithm rarely rewards caution. To be clear, rapid expansion isn't unusual for channels that find success. Many creators adapt as opportunities grow, yet adaptation often comes with a trade-off. The larger the audience, the harder it becomes to feel small and personal again. Behind the scenes, that kind of momentum can be exhausting. Because no matter how passionate you are, maintaining millions of viewers is a responsibility that never really turns off. Still, the family kept moving forward, appearing determined not to lose the life they had fought to create. But just as the channel seemed unstoppable, another question started surfacing among observant viewers. Not about the animals, not about the projects, about the future. Because internet fame can rise incredibly fast, but history shows it can shift just as quickly. And the signs of where things might be heading were already beginning to show. From the outside, it can look like a dream. Fresh air, open land, animals roaming the property, and a family building a life most people only fantasize about. But what viewers often forget is that White House on the Hill isn't just a homestead anymore. It's a life being lived in front of an audience, and that changes everything. When cameras are part of your daily routine, even the smallest decisions carry extra weight. Do you film this moment? Or keep it private? Do you share the setback or handle it quietly? Over time, those choices can shape not only the content but the lifestyle itself. Because the internet doesn't pause. Animals still need feeding at sunrise. Projects still demand long hours. Unexpected problems don't wait for convenient timing. Now add filming, editing, planning, and the constant awareness that millions could be watching the result. That kind of visibility can be mentally draining for any creator, especially when your set is also your home. Yet despite the pressure, the family continued showing up on screen, giving viewers a window into both the rewarding and difficult sides of farm life. Many supporters admire that transparency. To them, it proves the channel hasn't lost the authenticity that made people fall in love with it in the first place. But living publicly comes with another challenge people rarely discuss. You don't control the narrative anymore. Clips get shared, moments get interpreted, strangers form opinions based on a single scene. Even neutral events can spark debate once thousands of perspectives enter the conversation. For creators, that realization can be jarring, because no matter how genuine you are, the audience will always see only a fraction of the full picture. Still, something about White House on the Hill has kept viewers watching through every phase: the excitement, the growing pains, the evolving scale of the farm. Maybe it's the unpredictability, maybe it's the sense that this story is still unfolding, or maybe people are waiting to see what happens when a channel built on simplicity faces the complicated reality of long-term success. After all, staying popular is one challenge. But staying true to what made people care in the first place, that's the part many channels struggle to survive, and it raises a question viewers are starting to wonder more than ever. Where does White House on the Hill go from here? So after all the growth, the questions, and the pressure that comes with living publicly, what really happened to White House on the Hill? The surprising answer is, nothing collapsed, nothing was suddenly revealed. The channel didn't disappear, instead, it evolved. What viewers have been witnessing isn't the downfall of a homestead. It's the natural transformation that happens when a small, personal project turns into something massive. The quiet farm that once felt like a hidden gem is now a widely recognized brand, and that shift alone changes how people experience it. Some miss the slower, early days when each upload felt like peeking into a private family journal. That kind of intimacy is hard to preserve once millions are invited in. Growth tends to replace simplicity with structure, whether creators intended or not. Yet despite everything, people keep coming back. Why? Because beneath the scale, the animals, and the expanding projects, the core story still taps into something deeply human. The desire to build a meaningful life from the ground up. Viewers aren't just watching farm chores, they're watching persistence, problem solving, adaptation, and maybe even a version of freedom they wish for themselves. What's especially telling is that channels usually fade when audiences sense something is no longer genuine. But White House on the Hill continues to pull strong views, suggesting that for many fans, the connection hasn't been broken. If anything, the channel has entered a new phase, one where experience replaces trial and error, and long-term sustainability matters more than early experimentation. But here's the truth about internet success that few creators talk about. The hardest part isn't getting attention, it's growing without losing your identity. And that's the chapter still being written, because the future of White House on the Hill won't be decided by one viral video or one wave of criticism. It will be shaped by how the family navigates the balance between authenticity and scale, between sharing their life and protecting it. One thing is certain though, the story isn't over. In fact, if history has shown us anything, the most unpredictable moments usually arrive when everyone thinks they understand the narrative, which means the next turning point could happen when viewers least expect it. If White House on the Hill has proven anything, it's that building a life, especially one shared with millions, is never a straight path. What started as a simple decision to chase open space and a quieter future slowly turned into something far bigger than anyone could have predicted. And maybe that's why people are still watching. Not just for the animals, not just for the projects, but for the unfolding story. Because at its heart, this channel reflects something viewers rarely get to see in real time. What happens after the dream begins? The excitement is easy to imagine, but the long days, the pressure, the adaptation, that's the part most people never witness. Yet through every phase, the family has continued moving forward, adjusting to whatever comes next while the cameras keep rolling. Of course, the internet will always have opinions. Some will celebrate the growth, others will long for the earlier days. But that tension exists for nearly every creator who turns their real life into public content. The real question isn't whether the channel has changed, because change is inevitable. The question is, what comes next? Will the homestead keep expanding? Will the pace slow down? Or will an entirely new chapter begin? One thing feels certain. This journey is still being written. And millions are waiting to see where the road leads next.